After investing billions to light up our network, T-Mobile is America's largest 5G network. Plus, right now, you can switch, keep your phone, and we'll pay it off up to $800. See how you can save on every plan versus Verizon and AT&T at T-Mobile.com/keep-and-switch.
Up to 4 lines via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service ported 90-plus days with device and eligible carrier and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months.
Discover a sustainable green alternative to traditional burials at Solus Natural Burial Preserve in the community of Bishops Bay. As Wisconsin's leading innovator in green burial, we're officially certified by the Green Burial Council. Our environmentally conscious approach is not only sustainable, but also far less expensive. Don't wait until it's too late. Secure your plot now at solusnaturalburial.com. Natural, affordable, eco-friendly. The green way to go.
We all wish we could understand our cats' voices. And thanks to Petivity, we've come one step closer. The Petivity Smart Litter Box Monitor tracks your cat's litter box behavior and weight and alerts you when changes could require a vet visit. Your cats may not be able to tell you everything, but Petivity helps you understand them like never before. Try Petivity risk-free for 90 days at PETIVITY.com. Petivity, proactive care for lifelong health.
Let's do a little bit. Let's do a little bit of this.
Okay. Welcome to SVU Pod, Especially Heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha. I like whenever I say, I'm like, let's do this. Let's do a little bit of this. And you're like, oh, yeah, all right. Like, oh, that sounds, yeah, I suppose we could do that. Like, we're not sitting here with microphones and headphones. And this is the reason we sat down.
We're on season 7, episode 6, Raw.
Raw. I fucking just anger. Just table flipping anger.
I remembered the lady because I remember when I described the episode, I was like, I think I fucking remember this one. So at the last minute, she was like, psych, pew pew, or whatever.
Yeah, there were little moments of like where I think I wrote in predictions, but then I was like, did I just know that? Because I remember this a little bit, but.
Okay. We're on a school playground. There are kids running around, and it must be the morning because kids are getting off the bus. There's this cute little girl, and she's doing these kicks and punches and talking about Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And she's adorable. She's like, you got to punch and whatever. And then you hear everybody's worst fucking nightmare, the American way. You fucking hear gunshots and you see a little boy fall to the ground. All the kids are screaming. A teacher is yelling for everyone to get into the school and picks up a girl that got shot. More shots are fired. Another little girl falls down and has blood on her. And then there's another kid that's shot in the leg. Just a fucking nightmare.
Yep.
A little bit later, SVU, CSU, and SWAT are on the scene at the school. An officer tells Benny and Stapes that they don't know where the shooter is, and there's one kid that didn't survive. The other two were shot and are stable. One child is already in the hospital, and the other one is taken out on a stretcher. Benson stops the stretcher and questions a little girl, and the little girl is like, why did I get shot? Like, why would they shoot me? And she says she didn't see who shot her. No one had threatened her that day, or any day. She's fucking like 6. She's so cute. And then Benson rides to the hospital with her. Theme song. At the school, Stabler is speaking with the teacher that was outside. She's power walking in work mode, like, what the fuck, you know? She's got blood on her shirt from carrying a fucking kid that got shot. There were 42 kids in the playground during the shooting. Thank God most of the kids hadn't arrived to school yet. And the teacher that was on the playground didn't see the shooter either. Stabler asked her if there's any people who could be upset with the school, any threats or anything, maybe from staff who were let go or parents. And she's like, we're a public school, so yeah. And he's like, can you go make a list? And she runs off to do that. Cragen's there. He's making a plan with the other responders to set up a family center. The children are going to be reunited with their parents, but they need every single kid to be interviewed first. So we're going to have a pile of pissed off parents that are just like, give me my fucking kid. There was a shooter, you know?
Yeah.
Of course.
And they're like, you know what? We got to sit these traumatized children down and get some eyewitness statements.
Right.
These fucking first graders. I mean, anyway, they got to get information. So they're going to do the interviews with these small children. We first go to Stabler. He's interviewing this little sweetie with bangs. She tells him the shots came from the sidewalk.
Is she the one that has that raspy voice?
Yes.
I love little kids with a little raspy voice. It's so cute.
I know.
I always wanted a raspy voice.
I
know we've talked about that. Yeah.
We just...
The Tara Reid of it all, or whatever.
The last friendship boat.
Imagine us both having raspy voices and talking to each other. Oh, we'd be like, you're hot.
Be like, no, you're hot. And then we'd both be like...
Let's put on some low-rise pants and smoke cigarettes. Smoke Newports.
Okay, so this little sweetie with bangs tells Stabler that the shots came from the sidewalk. Cut to another little girl. She's a little bit older than the first one. She's certain that they didn't come from the sidewalk, but from a van. Next kid's like, nope, there wasn't a van. He saw open windows across the street with multiple people shooting from them. Okay, now we're with Benny as the interviews continue at the hospital. She's sitting with a little boy who was shot on the playground, which is a thing that fucking happens in our country, and we can't seem to figure out how to change that.
It's fucking... Okay.
I know. I know. Pump the brakes. Or don't. But, you know, we're on the same page. Benny's talking to this little boy. He was shot on the playground. He's in the hospital. He tells Benson that there was only one shooter and the shots sounded like they came from the playground, but he didn't see a person. Dr. Kyle, who we've met, has some results for this little guy. The kid puts on his glasses to be able to read the clipboard, and he looks exactly like Corey Feldman in Stand By Me, who's so fucking cute.
Oh my God, yeah, he's that little little Sandlot guy that ended up marrying the fucking...
Wendy Peppercorn. Yeah. Squints. So this doctor, he's like, hey, check it out. I've got these results. Great fucking news. The bullet that hit you on the playground as you played as a child with not a care in the world until now went clean through and missed the bone. So just a flesh wound and full-blown PTSD for you, right? And they're like, awesome.
Yeah.
The doctor mentions to Benny that the bullet is still on the playground, so ballistics are going to have to look there. The little boy asks about the other two kids that were shot. And Benson's like, hey, the doctor was just about to go check on Annabelle right now. I'm not going to mention the little boy who died. I'm just going to close this curtain and let your imagination run wild. Bye.
Oh my God, I know.
Shuts a fucking...
A sheet.
Yes.
That you can't hear through, apparently. You know?
They shut the transparent yet soundproof sheet that's hanging around his bed.
Yeah. It's like if I was in the bathroom with somebody and I took a shower and the shower wasn't running, I just sat on the tub and closed the thing, and I would be like, I cannot hear a word you're saying. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I don't know. It's not funny. It's just insane. It's all insane.
I'm not making fun of it. I'm making fun of the sheet. The
sheet is the joke here.
Yeah.
Everything else is awful. These are trauma jokes. So the doctor gives Benny updates on Annabelle. She's still in surgery, and the doctor's going to let Benny know how she's doing in a bit. The boy Bradley, who's covered by the sheet, gets Benny's attention, which is easy because the fabric curtain gave zero sound barrier, so it's weird that she closed it in the first place.
He whispered, "Man." She's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, you heard everything that we were saying, so there was no reason for me to close it except to avoid eye contact with you. Yeah. He tells her that a kid in his class, Johnny Mayhew, gets a lot of timeouts, and he has a gun. He brought it to school in his backpack on the first day back from summer break. Ugh. Munch and Toots are at the Mayhews. Munch is holding the gun and telling Johnny's mom it's not a toy. Like, they're like going through the living room, and she's just kind of standing there like, what the fuck, watching them.
She's pissed.
Oh, yeah. And Munch goes, sorry, Mrs. Mayhew, this is not a toy. And she starts yelling at Johnny and goes to fucking backhand him.
With a closed fist, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Toots grabs her arm and tells her to fucking chill. And Johnny runs out of the room. They accuse her of covering for her son because the gun had recently been cleaned, but she says she cleans it once a week. The gun wasn't kept in the home safely, and it wasn't registered because it was just like fucking sitting out, no safety on.
It was like in a drawer, like next to the couch.
Yeah.
Where I would put chapstick or something, you know?
Yeah. Remote controls, a fucking handgun. Toots lets her know that they need to charge her with possession of a weapon and child endangerment, which are pretty hefty charges, but she just goes, ugh, get out of here.
They're like, why isn't this gun registered? She's like, my brother gave it to me. They're like, you didn't think to register it? She's like, you have to do that? You know?
Right.
You're like, okay.
This is a handheld machine that kills people. Like, what do you do? You know, well, I just threw it in a drawer. Ugh. But yeah, she's like annoyed that they're like, we got to charge you with these pretty serious charges. And she's like, oh, get out of here. You kidding me? What a headache. They also need to run a gunshot residue test on Johnny. She wants to know why they need to run the test if Johnny hadn't left the house yet. There's no way he could have been the shooter.
Back at the school.
Red Rover, let Ryan O'Halloran come over.
Oh, God. I was just going to say, CSU Ryan Catch the Rainbow O'Halloran shows Cregan where a stray bullet hit the wall inside the classroom. The bullets are too mangled to get a caliber from, but the one from the classroom was found and bagged. Since the bullet in the classroom had 2 points of contact, they can calculate the point of fire. I love this kind of shit when they fucking do this like laser stuff. So there's a cool red laser that points through a hole in the wall that a map is placed on. There's another hole on a desk. Okay. So they like get to put the laser on the desk and point where it came from.
Right.
Cut to Munch on the roof, on the Isle of Arufa with CSU across the street as O'Halloran and Cregan have him move around to get the right angle. CSU finds a gun case in a hiding spot on the roof, and the gun is still in the case. It's a folding stock precision sniper rifle. CSU says that what?
Oh, I just love how, was it Munch who said it? Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Yeah, what is that from?
It's from The Godfather.
I knew you were going to know that. I knew it was something mob related.
It's like, yeah, it's an iconic
all the mob
line
stuff.
and scene, and yeah.
So CSU says that it's the kind of gun used when the shooter has a specific target in mind. Munch assumes Johnny can be ruled out as a suspect because he wasn't there, but which kid was the gunner targeting? At the hospital, in a recovery room, Benson speaks to Annabelle's parents. They can't think of anyone who would want to hurt their daughter. They haven't had any threats. They don't even really know anyone because they just moved to New York City a month ago. A nurse tells Benny that the mother of the boy who died has just shown up. Benson goes out to speak with her. She doesn't know about her son yet. All she knows is that he got hurt, and no one will let her see him. Oh. Benny is like, fuck, and tries to get her to sit, but she just wants to see her son. So her husband can't have his cell phone on at work, and for some reason, that's the emergency contact number. So on his break, he called her to let her know about the kid being hurt. So she came right to the hospital. She has no idea what's going on. Then the woman notices Benson's face, and she kind of already knows what Benny's going to tell her. Benson tells her about the shooting and how her son died. The music is all swelly. The boy's father arrives. He's a fucking corrections officer at Rikers, no less. His wife runs over to him and he holds her as she cries.
Okay, so the boy who was shot is black and these parents are white. So immediately we're like, this kid was adopted. The husband's a CO. So my prediction, or was it my prediction, or was it that I was like, this is some Aryan Brotherhood shit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at this time, they're not going to have two white parents and a black kid and not make that the focal point.
Yeah.
That is going to like carry the story. It wouldn't make sense for them to just be adoptive parents.
Not in 2005, yeah.
No.
That 2005 writing.
So the boy who was killed is named Jeffrey. His parents, Janice and Mark Whitlock, are allowed to see him. Mom plays... This is dumb and only for my kids, but I recognized her right away. And then I looked up her credits and I'm like, Jesus Christ. She was Spencer's mom in the new Jumanji movies. And I'd watched them a bunch recently because my kids are super into it.
Yeah.
She was Judith in 84 episodes of 2.5 Men, which I never watched. Also, 43 episodes of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel as Rose. Again, didn't watch. Bunch of stuff.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't watch that. I never finished it, but
Marvelous
it was good.
Mrs. Maisel. I don't know. Stuff like that doesn't... It might be good. I'm not saying it's not good. It just like that doesn't draw me in. Anyway, Dad, he was in OA, which I loved. He was in True Detective. He played Detective Morelli, 4 episodes. That's it. I put that in because I knew you'd ask.
The first season?
God damn it. I don't know.
Okay. It makes a big difference, but okay.
That attitude, that was not an attitude directed at you. I was like, this is his character. This is how many episodes he was in. This is for you. I want you to enjoy it. And you're like, oh, which season? And I'm like, well, I fucking failed everything.
Well, because True Detective, each season is a different thing. Season 1 is the best. Have you seen it?
You saying it to me now, I understand. Yeah, I've seen it. Yes, I've seen
the first one. Oh, that shit is fucking art. Of course it's fucking...
I hated it. I loved it. But then, the end of the first season, I'm just like, why the fuck am I watching this? No, but yeah, no. You're like, it matters. You're immediately like, don't be a bitch. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm over here lashing myself. Why don't you join in? Okay, but this guy in general, he's got average white guy resting cop face.
Yeah.
Because he plays one a lot. I didn't even go down and count how many times he plays a fucking cop or a detective. It's constantly.
I should have known he was going to be a piece of shit because he looked like a bad cop.
Benson and the Whitlocks stand around Jeffrey in the autopsy room. Jeffrey was adopted by them just a year ago. They adopted an older child with the hopes to save him from the system. They were talking about, how long you'd have to wait for a baby and all this stuff. And then they found that there were so many kids that were in the system that could use a home. And they had this whole story of why they ended up with an older child. Since Mark works at the prison, they need to take prisoners into consideration as shooting suspects. Mark's like, cool, there's 17,000 inmates and none of them stick out.
He's like, I've had shit thrown on me. So
yeah. She's like, oh, do you have any beef with anybody? Do you have any beef with any of the inmates? And he's like, well, there's 17,000 of them. I'm a CO. They all fucking hate me. So I'm not sure. I can't really help in that regard, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Back outside the school, Cragen's yelling at a crowd of barricaded parents through a bullhorn. These parents haven't seen their kids yet after a school shooting on the playground. He tells them that they'll be reunited with their children. Counselors will be available to speak with you, blah, blah, blah. Huang and Stabler tell Cragen they got about 40 different stories. And Cragen's like, what do you fucking expect? Like, you're talking to children. Not only that, you're talking to children who were witnesses to a terrible traumatic event.
They saw their friends killed, or shot.
Huang points out that kids are tough eyewitnesses because of their, quote, imaginations, high suggestibility, and difficulty distinguishing fantasy from reality. Cragen tells them about Mark Whitlock's job at Rikers, which perks Stabler's ears. Maybe we're not at a dead end. One kid starts to cry when her mom tries to get her to go home because she's like, I don't want to go home. I don't want to leave. It's the first child Stabler interviewed, the cutie with the bangs.
Raspy voice, yeah.
Yes. And Cragen's like, she needs to be re-interviewed based on her behavior in that moment. And I'm like, that gave me zero indication that she should be re-interviewed, but you're the captain. I don't know anything.
Right.
That's just a kid who's been through some shit being like, I'm fucking all over the place and I'm tired and I'm...
Yeah.
Let's go back. We're going to re-interview her. Huang does it this time. And her name is Maddie McCorkle. She lives in an apartment with her mom. Huang asks her if anyone is ever mean to her. And she says yes, but that she promised not to tell. And then,
This episode is all over the place.
Let's think of every traumatic thing that can happen to a kid.
And then throwing that curveball in the last 4 seconds of the... Oh, my God.
Yeah. This guy, the guy who's been hurting her, told her that if she tells anyone, he'll use a gun that's as tall as her to shoot her mom and her friends.
Fucking jeez.
She tells Huang that the man makes her pull down her pants. She calls him Mr. Bug Eyes.
Later, Maddie's mom is doing a little walk and talk with Cragen and Stabler. She says the man's name is actually Mr. Bughazi, and he's an older man that lives in her apartment building. She describes him as very friendly. Stabler asks Maddie's mom how often Maddie is alone with him, and she stops and is like, wait, what the fuck? Did he do something to Maddie? Stabler's like, no, we just need to speak with him, whatever. So, since Maddie gets out of school at 3 and her mom doesn't get off work till 5, Bughazi told her he, quote, likes to be useful and watches her for free. Fucking hell. Stabler and Cragen go to Bughazi's apartment, so we can hear noises outside the door, yelling and struggling, whatever. Cragen yells out for him to open the door, but we just keep hearing fighting or something. So Cragen kicks in the door.
Yeah.
Inside, Cragen and Stabler see a younger guy kicking Bughazi on the floor. The guy's yelling, "You raped your last little girl, you rancid bag of pus." And I was like, rancid's not used very much in insults, and it should be. Stabler and Cragen run over, and Stabler grabs the guy and pulls him off of Bughazi and gets him to put his hands behind his back against the wall. While Cragen checks on Bughazi, who is covered in blood and unconscious. Craigie calls for an ambulance as Stabler checks the other guy's ID. His name is Patrick McCorkle. Like, Patrick McCorkle.
Patrick McCorkle.
Yeah. So he's Maddie's uncle. Stabler tells Patrick that he knows how angry he is, and he gets it.
She was like, I'm always angry.
Yeah.
I've never not been angry. I can't remember the last time I wasn't angry.
He's like, I'd be angry if I wasn't angry because I'd be so confused. Stabler tells Patrick he understands how angry he is. McCorkle's like, I don't think you do. Stabler tells him he's going to arrest him. And McCorkle's like, fine, just put us in the same frickin' cell, as in him and Bughazi. Patrick tells Stabler that when he confronted Bughazi, he told him that he was sorry and that he was born with unnatural urges and couldn't control himself, blah, 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 fuck you. Cragen looks in Bughazi's closet and finds the gun that Maddie was threatened with. It's a fucking air pellet rifle.
Which makes your heart sink even more for some reason.
I know.
just her being so scared and knowing that you weren't in danger of what he was
know.
threatening you of.
Yeah.
But like, how would you know? It
Dude,
just makes it worse somehow. You know,
because this child's life is altered, thinking she's going to be killed. She's being molested, and
it's just a disgusting subhuman who is taking advantage of the fact that she believes you.
She believes you. Ugh. Stabler takes Patrick out of the apartment in handcuffs. At the precinct, Craig and Toots are doing a little walk and talk. There's a lot of little walk and talks in this. Images of the sniper rifle and the pellet gun are shown side by side. Toots tells Craig that he understands how Maddie was scared. The pellet gun looks real, especially to a fucking 7-year-old. Turns out Bughazi was at the dentist at the time of the shooting, so he's fucking off the hook.
For that.
And then we don't fucking hear anything more about it, I don't think. Anyways.
I mean, that's just every other episode of SVU.
Yeah. Toots says that Maddie's uncle Patrick McCorkle almost beat him to death. And are they even sure he's a molester? I'm like, what? Cragen says that Bughazi has an open warrant in Florida that he's getting extradited for. And SVU won't get to question him until Florida law enforcement they're done with him.
Why are we questioning Maddie's statement?
I know. The gun that was found on the roof across from the school didn't have any prints on it, but the serial number was intact. Cragen asks Munch for an update on the gun trace. Munch tells him that it was on a, quote, cross-country tour. The gun made it from a manufacturer in Sturgis. It was shipped to Minnesota, then all the way to a shop called Gun Ho, which I thought was cute. I mean, it's not cute, but it's a cute little, like...
It's like play on words, yeah.
Like the smoking gum, I mean.
Right.
So the gun shop is in Staten Island, and it was sold the Thursday before the shooting. This is so bizarre to me. Since it's a long gun, no background check was required for the purchase. It was a cash sale, and I don't understand why that's a thing. It's a sniper. I know. I mean, is it because it's maybe supposed to be for hunting?
Yes.
You know, people can kill people with hunting. Okay. Why would you not need a... Okay.
I'm not saying... I'm like, dude, this makes sense. I'm saying this is the logic that gets used because our country is held hostage by the fucking NRA for some reason.
Can you imagine the forefathers who made that fucking... Like, they come here, see the guns that we have now, and they're like, holy shit, it took us like 45 seconds to load another bullet into our gun when we... Like,
right.
What?
That's not what we meant.
Yeah. Also, that was like fucking 200-300 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a...
Yeah. I wonder if it's like, they're like, oh, a long gun is for hunting and we legally can't keep people from hunting and providing for their whatever. Okay. Anyways.
Also, I believe that some of this stuff's got to be state by state too.
Yeah. And that could be a different thing now. It could have changed by now. Right. So, and the signature on the purchase paperwork is illegible and no first time name of the buyer was provided. And then I wrote, no wonder the world hates us. Our gun shit is insane. No background checks on a long gun. What the fuck is that? Don't get me started, dude. Okay. All
right. So Munch and Stabler go to speak with Brian Ackerman at Gun Ho, the guy who sold the gun. He's an SVU 5-timer as 2 different characters. Spoiler alert, we're going to see this particular character, Brian Ackerman, in season 12. So he's also been in tons of stuff with smaller roles, the OA, Dexter, and then a slew of a specific category, The Departed, The Aviator, Wolf of Wall Street. So I'm like, do you know Leonardo DiCaprio? So... The shop is closed. So they're going to talk to him, but this guy isn't there. Okay. We don't meet him till later. So like I just did a whole little reference point on him, but we don't meet him yet. We meet 16-year-old Kyle Ackerman, who says he's alone at the store. His dad is Brian Ackerman and he owns it. But Kyle works there. He like fucking sweeps up after hours and whatever. This kid is most known for his role as Zach Young on Desperate Housewives, but I don't give a shit. He was on a single episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so that's what I cared about. And I'm like, which episode was it? Flip, Philadelphia. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, kind of. I remember that song. Yeah.
He plays Cheesefoot, okay? He's this frat boy that kicks Charlie and Mac out of a frat party that they were like body painting with these girls. And then the gang goes back to challenge them to a game of flip cup, but they poison their beer and it poisons all the bros that they're competing against, but also Dee because she's always the butt of the joke.
They're such bad people. The whole show is just them being terrible.
I took a break from my notes to rewatch that episode of Always Sunny. And I'm not mad about it. It's a good fucking episode. And then the fucking other bar owner comes back, the one that they originally challenged, and he's like, I went to the competition. You guys weren't even there. And they're like, what? Oh my God, that's stupid. We don't want to do that. We've moved on. So Munch and Stabler are on the sidewalk talking to Kyle through those barred cage or whatever security door things. Like, so it's open air, but it's like a locked fence that they're talking through, right? Security thing. Stabler tells him to open the door. And Kyle doesn't feel super comfortable with it, but he opens the door anyway, and they just walk in like they fucking own the place. So it seems like Kyle immediately realized that he made a mistake and asks them if they have a warrant. Munch tells them they're there to look into a string of burglaries that shop has had, and Kyle's like, could you come back tomorrow? Sabre's like, oh man, I don't feel comfortable leaving you alone. There's so many guns here. And Kyle's like, I've been around guns my whole life. Munch goes behind the counter, and Kyle's like, you can't be back there. Munch tells him he's just checking the security stuff for your safety. Kyle's like, we haven't had a burglary in 6 months. Kyle, they're just going back and forth. They're going to have an answer for every objection you have, Kyle. You're not going to rationalize with them and be like, oh, no, it's totally fine. No, they're not. That's not what's happening right now, honey.
Yeah.
Stabler hears noises coming from another part of the store and looks at Kyle and goes, you said nobody else was here. And then Kyle's like, that's none of your business. Okay. It's a little late to fucking grow a pair, dude.
Yeah. They're like, oh, it's probably a burglar. We're going to go down there.
Yeah. So Munch and Stabler go downstairs to investigate to this basement, and Kyle's following them, and he's like, no, you guys don't. OMG, first thing we fucking see is a huge-ass Nazi flag. This basement is full of white supremacist, neo-Nazi propaganda plastered everywhere. A woman walks out from a back room as Stabler asks, so what in the American History X do you do down here?
God, right when I saw her, I was like, I remember this. This is what yeah.
Okay, this is, yeah. Well, so when he says, what do you do down here? She goes, exercise our First Amendment right to free speech. This is where I needed to pause because this is IRL Marcia Gay Harden. She has a list of 126 credits to date.
She's been in everything.
But I recognized her. If this was going to be, because sometimes I'm so surprised by episodes that I completely forgot about, but her face doesn't leave my brain for some reason. And I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking FBI agent Dana Lewis. And then I went, oh, did she originally come on playing somebody else? I thought she was always Dana Lewis. She's undercover, but these guys haven't met her yet, so they don't know that yet. We're not supposed to know that. I was really confused for a minute because I thought we had met Agent Lewis before. And I looked into the IMDb. I'm like, we haven't. So I'm remembering her from the future. Anyway, right now, they're like, this is some fucking white trash, redneck, Aryan nation fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And that's, in our minds right now, wipe it out. That's who she is to us for now.
Yeah.
Back to the ruse. At first, I'm like, oh, they know it's Dana. They're all acting together. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, they don't. Because she literally just said some fucked up shit about Munch being Jewish. And he's like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
I was like, he's really going to get after her at the coffee shop later. No, they didn't know who she was yet. So her accent is exaggerated. I think she's doing a thing. She does have a Southern accent as Agent Lewis, but it's a little buttered up for this. Anyway, back to the ruse. Munch has raised eyebrows as he comments on a box of pamphlets that claim Jewish people made up the Holocaust. This kid is like, oh my God, I'm sorry, Star, because her name's Star. She looks at Munch and acts like she smells something terrible and goes, Jew?
Ugh.
Music swell, fucking yikes. Stabler interjects and asks her how she knows Kyle. And she goes, I'm a friend of the family. What's your business here? Munch tells her they're there because of the shooting at the school. And she knows what they're talking about and is poking at them when she responds by saying some racist shit about Jeffrey, the little baby that was killed.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little fucking child.
Oh. So Munch, in response, rips up the pamphlet that he was holding. And she just freaks out. You can't do that. This is not a police state. You're destroying private property and you're trespassing. Munch asks if she minds coming with them too much. She goes to a 10 and open hand fucking slaps him across the face and calls him a Jewish slur.
I fucking forgot about that word. I was like, holy shit. I haven't heard that in a long time.
So Munch is just quiet and still as Stabler grabs her, cuffs her, and tells her assaulting a police officer, well, now you're guaranteed to ride with us. It's no longer a request. She just open hand slapped somebody in the face.
A fucking cop.
So she's not going to be calm. She's like, oh, like hell I am. I don't recognize the authority of the puppets of the Zionist-occupied government. Playing that character has got to be fun, though. Munch knocks a box of flyers off a shelf as he walks by and then escorts Kyle out of the room behind Stabler as Star tells Kyle to call his daddy. Back at the precinct.
Call your daddy.
Call your daddy. Let's go to the 1-6. As Star and Kyle walk through the precinct, she's just running her fucking mouth about New York City and tax dollars and how they should be used. This is what she said.
Yeah, I know. It's just...
She looks right at Toots as she goes on about gangs and refers to the black community using words as terrible as she can without saying the N-word directly. And then I thought, that must be the line over at NBC. And then I had to come back and type, oops, that's what I thought in this moment. Yikes. And Toots is like, bitch, I work here.
Yeah.
And she's screaming to the entire precinct, affirmative action, hard at work, y'all. Jeez. Munch takes Kyle upstairs for his interview as Stabler keeps walking Star to a separate interrogation room. And she really goes off now because as Kyle's acting guardian, she's insisting she be there for Kyle's interrogation. His daddy's gonna sue.
I can't understand why she even got herself arrested in this. If she did get it, she got arrested, why didn't she tell him that she was a fucking agent this whole time?
Well, she can't. I mean, they're local law enforcement. She is the FBI who's been undercover for several months.
Don't you think her sergeant would be like, why did you fucking slap a cop? Like, why are you getting yourself involved and like have eyes on you? You're undercover.
I think because they were like, you're going to have to come in and talk to us. And she's standing there in front of Kyle, in front of this like head dude's kid, and is like, I cannot go willingly.
Yeah.
They're going to make me go. And she's proving, she's like, this is who I am. So all she's doing is solidifying herself with this group even more.
She's getting like more street cred or more cred.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And she can get out of it. She knows that she's like, I can go back and apologize later and fucking, I can go back and get my record undone. What are they going to do? Star fucking Morrison? Bullshit. That's not even a person.
Yeah.
I'm going to slap the shit out of Munch as much as I can while I'm in character.
In an interview room, Betty and Stabler are questioning Star Morrison, but this is fucking... Benny legit says, quote, so, white supremacy, huh? What's that about? End quote. I was like, what? I was like, what is this, an episode of Seinfeld? And then I was like... And then this bitch says, it's about racial purity. There's no laws against it. Benny's like, sure, but there's a law about hate crimes, and brings up the stickers Star made, which were found all over synagogues in the area, which is a hate crime, by the way.
Yes.
She says she didn't do it. She just distributes information about her group's ideologies and helps Brian Ackerman with their group. They ask her if she or her, quote, group know anyone by the name that was on the purchase affidavit for the rifle used for the school shooting. She doesn't recognize the name. I mean, it's illegible, but whatever. They show her the children that were shot, and not all of them fit in with Morrison's ideals. She looks at the picture of Maddie and says, quote, that must have been a mistake because she's just too pretty to be Jewish. Barf.
Yeah.
She denies having anything to do with the shooting. She tells them that she doesn't actually officially work in the shop, but does help out after hours with mail orders that come in from Brian Ackerman's very popular website. Back to the precinct.
I'm sure it's very popular.
It's very popular. I love you.
I love you too.
There's a colonial woman on the wing. All right. Huang and Cragen are looking over Brian Ackerman's website called blitzkriegwarriors.org for his group Revolutionary Warriors, or RAW.
RAW.
Huang is like, hate groups just love the internet. And I was like, yeah, but it's 2005. Huang starts talking about the rise of websites advocating hate. And Huang tells Cragen that 10 years ago, there was only one online hate group. Now he's heard of over 500. And I'm like, okay, that was 20 years ago. I wonder what it's like now. I wonder how many.
When I was young, I had sex with 8 men. That'd be like 200 today.
Wearing an onion on your belt was in, and then when it was in, it wasn't in. It'll happen to you.
Is that Grandpa Simpson?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they freaking find out that Kyle, the kid who answered the door at the gun store, you know, Brian's son, also has his own site, blitzkriegkids.com. Ew. The main page is of Kyle giving the, quote, salute, you know, the Nazi salute, and holding that classic gun. I think it's a Luger. So these fucking little cyber characters are running around the city and killing minorities on the streets. You can hear a character say, "Keep running, Jew." It's fucking gross. Kyle is proud of the fact that he has the current high score. Kyle is pissed and says it's just a game and that there are plenty of games where white men get killed, but obviously, quote, your kind has no problem with that. And I'm like, girl, chill. Toots is like, my kind, you mean cops? And Kyle straight up looks in Toots' eyes and says, no, N-words. Like, uppercut this little bitch.
He is doing the thing where he wants him to.
Yeah. And he's a fucking, he's an abused, like, obviously fucking mentally fucked with kid.
Right.
He's a child. Munch is like, so you'd be cool if me and Toots and everyone that looks like us be exterminated? And Kyle says no, that the Raw group doesn't advocate that. They leave that to the savages. And we're like, okay. He's talking about what the neo-Nazi skinhead people or something. I don't fucking know actually what he meant.
No, I think he's talking about
each other.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Toots is like, oh man, kid, you never had a chance, did you? And tells him that he feels sorry for Kyle for being born into this family. His father's been filling his head with hate since he was a fucking baby. And Kyle says he's lucky to be born Caucasian and that Toots was the only one who drew, quote, the genetic short straw. And then Munch talks about how science discovered that there's really no genetic differences between races, like at all. And then Kyle tells Munch that Jewish people are the result of the union between Eve and Satan. Toots looks at Kyle and sarcastically asks him who he thinks spawned him. Fucking Kyle's dad shows up, Brian Ackerman, and starts hollering for him across the precinct. You see him walk through saying, I need someone to help me right now, preferably someone who speaks English with an IQ above 60. Cragen and Benson look at each other, and Benson tells Cragen that it's Kyle's dad. Cragen gets up as Ackerman asks who's in charge of this, quote, cesspool. And then Cragen's like, it's me. And he's like, oh, what a surprise. I didn't think white men were allowed in positions of power anymore unless you're gay. Like, what in the fuck? Benson tells Ackerman that his rants are way funnier in person than they are online. And then he calls her a, quote, requisite tuna feminist. And then says, stay out of this, Hillary. It made me laugh, but because it's like
boom, because he won't it's just constant. It's just like, I get the picture that they're painting of this guy, but there are people
Hillary's been shit on since like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Anyways, he wants his son, and Benny says, don't worry, his mind is just as fucked as you left it.
It sounds exhausting to be this angry and everything phobic all the time.
Yeah.
Like anything that crosses your line of sight is gonna piss you off.
Yeah. He calls out to Kyle again, and Kyle comes rushing down the stairs. He's like, Dad. And Munch and Toots are followed behind him.
Daddy.
Kyle, Daddy,
we're down.
We gotta watch that again.
I know.
Then Kyle's like, tell Daddy what you guys said about him. And then he like rushes over to his dad and like hides underneath his legs or something, or whatever kids do. He's like, cowards. Hold me, Daddy.
He runs to him and does that thing where little kids jump and wrap their legs around. And he's just holding on to him like a fucking...
cradling his head. Like, what did you say to him? Toots addresses Kyle's dad and brings up that Kyle is homeschooled. Why is that? Are you afraid your kid's going to be exposed to the truth about the world? Kyle fires back and says that his dad is brilliant and doesn't dumb down lessons for minorities like they do in public school. Benson's like, brainwashed much, Kyle? He calls her an idiot, sick burn dork, and then apologizes to his dad for, quote, letting him down by letting Stabler and them in gun-ho.
I take back being impressed by the name of your gun store.
Yeah.
It's not a cute name.
And he's like, I should have never allowed them to breach the perimeter, Daddy. Dad's like, we'll talk about it at home.
To breach the perimeter.
It's just such dorks.
It's some LARPing shit, dude. Like, you're not in the fucking military.
That's it right there. It's fucking LARPing. Ugh. What is it? NARPing? It's like Nazi.
Anyway.
Gross. Okay. Ackerman tries to skedaddle, but Cragen stops him and tells him that dude needs to identify who he sold the rifle to. And Ackerman's like, I sell dozens of guns a day. There's dozens of us. Ackerman says he sells dozens of guns a day and doesn't remember faces. And Cragen's like, yeah, you also don't remember to follow the sales requirements in New York City. in Staten Island.
You sell guns.
Ackerman says that it's not his responsibility to interfere with an individual's right to bear arms, and then tries to leave again. Kyle reminds him that fucking Star Morrison is still there. You know, the one that slapped Munch and shit. Cragen tells them that Morrison is still being questioned, and Kyle is told to go wait in the car. Ackerman's like, oh, fine. Ackerman and Cragen walk to Cragen's office, and Ackerman is fucking yelling that his rights were violated. Kyle's, there was a false arrest, and they violated his son. Stabler comes in and tells him what happened at the store, totally discounting Ackerman's claims. Like, he's like, what do you mean? We came there because there was a burglar. We came in to help Kyle, and then we heard some noise, and we thought it was a burglar. So we went in the basement. It was an intruder, but it was Star. And then she assaulted Munch. Cragen's like, oh God. And then Ackerman's like, do not insult me with that shit. And Stabler's like, shut up, Holocaust denier, with that psycho bullshit. Anyways, Cragen asks about the affidavit again that was signed during the sale of the gun and wants him to decipher the name. I forgot what he says. He's like, it sure looks like whatever Rockwell, one of the first fucking neo-Nazi, blah, blah, blah. Ackerman says he doesn't know the real name of the purchaser and then describes them as an African-American male. I'm like, yeah, cute. Cragen's phone rings, so he takes it and he calls in another officer who's a black guy. Stabler introduces Ackerman as the leader of Raw and asks him to be escorted out. And this dude is like, my pleasure. Once Ackerman is out of the room, Cragen tells Stabler about his phone call. Crime Lab pulled DNA off the padding on the rifle scope. The DNA belonged to a convicted felon, Brannon Lee Redding. Also, fuck a grown man named Brannon.
Brannon. That is the most white guy. This is a neo-Nazi white Brannon.
Yeah, his mom had a hard time letting go. Brannon.
Pitch black. Pff, door kick. Go, go, go. SWAT and SVU pile into what looks to be a warehouse. They find Redding there asleep. When he sees that some of the officers are people of color, he makes a racist comment about how they're not allowed inside, and he's put in cuffs. He's got a big old back tattoo that says Rahawa, which stands for Racial Holy War. Benny sarcastically comments on his decor of racist propaganda posters and shit. She's like, it's a lovely place you have here, Brennan.
Was Martha Stewart here? Because this looks great.
Better Homes and Gardens. They need to do a photo shoot. So not his character, but the actor who plays him made me laugh so hard because he deadpan responds to this with his face pressed against the concrete wall. And he's like, thanks. I try to keep it nice.
Yeah.
His delivery was great.
Yeah, he had a really good timing as an actor.
But he's in so many things. Firstly, he's Officer O'Neill from Orange is the New Black, who's a super regular character. Do you remember him?
No.
He was always really funny, deadpan. Like, it's kind of his thing. Okay. You would recognize him if you saw him. He was in a million episodes of that show. He was on The Grudge. He was a regular on the Tracy Morgan show, The Last OG. He voiced two characters in the movie Leo, which is Jacoby's current fixation movie. So we've watched it every day this week. And so I was like, ooh, Leo. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's an Adam Sandler movie where he's a fucking iguana.
Leo? I don't think I've seen it.
It is really cute. It's really cute. If you end up like having to hang out with some kids for some reason, it's not a terrible movie to get to watch. So anyway, he's playing a convincing extreme white supremacist in this episode.
Very reminiscent of like American History X, that one guy that's like their...
Yes.
Yeah.
They haul him out of the place as Munch still with the funny as he picks up a book. Mein Kampf, I see you're not a member of Oprah's book club. I'm like, there you are, Munch. Don't let these dumb dicks get you down. You're doing great. Back at the precinct, Novak, Cragen, Benson, and Staves are all at the dream board.
They just watched the movie The Secret. What is it called?
They're there to manifest their future, which is to figure out this case. Mm-hmm. They're at a standstill with Redding because he lawyered up the second he got there and refused to speak. But he talked a bunch on the way over. But all it was fucking hate speech. So it didn't get them anywhere except hating him more. Mm-hmm. They need to get a confession, even though his DNA was on the weapon, because now he's claiming the gun had been stolen. What a coincidence, because it was used to shoot his recent CO. Redding had been released from Rikers about 2 weeks before the shooting. He bought the gun 4 days before the shooting. Novak wonders if Ackerman knew about the shooting or was in on it with Redding, but the detectives don't have any connection there. Novak wants to know what Redding went to Rikers for, and Stabler tells her it was assault and battery on a cab driver that was Ethiopian. Whitlock, Jeffrey's dad, busts through the door and just shouts out to Benny, Detective Benson. He's all disheveled and looks like he hasn't slept in a week. He says he heard they got the guy who killed his son. They show him Redding's mugshot and ask him if he ever had an issue with him, but Redding wasn't even in the block that Whitlock monitored. And Benson looks suspicious. I am too, because earlier they mentioned that there are 19,000 inmates at Rikers, and this guy knew Brannon Lee Redding's full name off the top of his head.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't watch the rest of the episode, so I'm not quite sure.
we're just free balling right now.
Just winging it. Just winging it on our sacks. Late. Ew, the image of just like a fucking scrotum in flight. Just a beautiful wingspan.
It's an albatross. It's crazy.
Later, Novak questions Redding with his lawyer, Hashi Horowitz. I wonder if he's going to make any commentary on this lawyer. So this is Hashi's first SVU appearance of 14. He plays a defense attorney until season 17 when he becomes Judge Hashi Horowitz. You may also recognize him from such things as Evil, Bull, The Bronx is Burning, 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner. In Evil, he was Lombino. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it yet. You've told me to watch it a bunch. I haven't watched it yet. He was also in Law and Order Regular, Natural Born Killers as Deputy Sheriff Homolka, The Hudsucker Proxy, one episode of Roseanne that I know Gabe will like me to mention. He was an IRS supervisor in season 2, episode 22, April Fool's Day. He was in Splash and Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro.
Oh my God.
I know. Any whoosies, he's Jewish, and he's defending this guy, and he's hating being there.
He's not liking it.
No.
He's not happy.
He's like, oh boy, I was sent here, and I did not get a heads up. Now I am just going to do my fucking job. Novak shows Redding a photo of Whitlock. Redding says, he looks like a nice guy. Novak asks why he killed Jeffrey, but Redding sticks to the story of the gun being stolen. Novak pushes over a photo of the gun and says, 1 in 35 million. Those are the odds against it being anyone else's DNA on that rifle. Horowitz, this poor fucking lawyer who's treated as subhuman by this pile of fucking molten white trash, tells Novak he wants to make a deal, but Novak wants to know who else was involved and if he's a member of Raw. Redding doesn't name drop and tells her he's not in Raw. So she's going to up it and try to push him and says he's going to get to sit in prison awaiting his trial for a year when Horowitz jumps in. Don't play cute, Casey. No one's going to put him in the same prison where the alleged victim's father works. And she holds eye contact with Redding and tries to intimidate him with how dangerous prison will be for him, but he just stares her down. Horowitz throws out a deal offer: protective custody for Redding while he's in prison, 25 to life, and all counts be served concurrently. Now remember, concurrent versus consecutive. Concurrent means at the same time.
At the trial, the judge tells everyone to control their emotions and language and follow the rules of the courtroom.
I just love that he was like, I have a 0 tolerance policy for shenanigans. And I just imagine him continuing like that goes for mischief, hanky-panky, and tomfoolery as well. None of it. None of the above. Also, this judge, I'm not going to go down the list, but he has 227 acting credits. But
yeah, he looks really familiar.
Right. Yes.
If one of you says shenanigans again, hey, Farva, what's that place with all the shit on the walls? Shenanigans? You guys want to go for lunch?
It was just an interesting word for someone to use. This is hate crime shit. This is organized hate crime, which is a big deal that like tears into the fabric of a society. And he's like, all right, listen, no shenanigans, y'all.
Yeah.
If you guys don't behave, I'm going to turn this courtroom around and we're going home.
We got the traveling spoon for spankings in the glove box if you don't. Yeah, so the judge knows everyone's at a 10, but there can't be any outbursts and shit, which, yeah. Redding wants to change his plea to guilty. When he is asked to describe his crimes, he admits to shooting the children, but says so with a lot of slurs.
Yeah.
Okay? About the children. He called the children slurs. The children.
It's so gross. I don't understand the energy put into that. I don't.
I know. One woman stands up and tells him to burn in hell and calls him a racist pig. And then you see Star Morrison is in the courtroom as well as the Whitlocks. The judge rejects Redding's plea offer, even though there's a deal in place. He tells Novak that she should be fucking ashamed for agreeing to this deal because he calls it reprehensible. Novak stands up and apologizes. The judge goes off on how this is a blatant hate crime and that countless kids were traumatized, 2 maimed, and 1 child killed. Mm-hmm. And then Novak's like, well, what do you recommend that we do? The judge tells Redding to either withdraw the plea and go to trial and leave the decision to the jury, or accept 25 to life for each count to be served consecutively. Then the judge tells him that if he is found guilty by the jury, he will show no leniency and says, quote, your future parole officers haven't even been born yet. And I was like, love that.
Ooh.
Redding refuses. He wants the deal he was promised and starts to shout at the judge as he's being removed, screaming, Rahawa, blah, blah, blah. You know, that shit on his back or whatever.
The Rachel Holy War.
Yeah, he's being taken out. Morrison starts hollering at the judge and asking him if he's brainwashed by the, quote, the Jew-controlled media, or if he's a, quote, lackey of the Zionist-occupied government. Ugh. Then the judge orders her to be removed. She's shouting out and is giving the signs for white power. He tacks on $500 extra. She keeps going on with her bullshit till she's arrested and is fined $1,500 for contempt. And as they're pulling her away, she's like, keep counting, Mr. Judge. Just the way she said judge. She's like, Judge. I put like 17 years.
My name is Judge.
I really like Beavis and Butthead, Mr. Judge.
Okay. Judge Reinhold, not a judge.
So Novak's visiting Redding in jail. He's like, I want a deal, you bitch. And Novak says that Novak says that she can't talk to him without his lawyer present. Where the fuck is your lawyer? And Redding calls him a fucking racial slur, of course. And he doesn't represent Redding anymore. Novak is like, dude, Horowitz had nothing to do with the judge's decision. Redding says that for this meeting and this meeting only, he waives his right to counsel and says, quote, let's work it out between us whites. Do you have any other personality? Is there any other part of your personality? Like, do you have anything? Do you like video games?
Anything.
Anything. Besides the Blitzkrieg's kids fucking video games. Like,
right.
Do you like to knit? Do you go fishing? Do you do anything that isn't fucking terrible? I'm guessing not.
He's like, I have trophied every year in my 9-pin tap bowling league.
He's like, I like going magnet fishing, but I freaking draw a swastika on the bottom of that magnet. I'll tell you what. You're like, what? That's part of it? Okay.
Yeah, when he said, let's work it out between us whites, I'm like, the level of delusion that this guy is exhibiting, that they all do, where it's like, hey, the thing that I'm saying is very logical. To me, it's giving any kind of hyperfixated group. Anyways, let's work it out between us whites.
Yeah, ew.
I keep thinking about people taking fucking sound bites from this, and I hate it.
Oh, I know. If we were on Big Brother, we'd fucking, or one of those reality shows.
Don't deep fake me, you guys.
Just Tasha going in like a bikini going, N-word.
Oh my God.
I don't know why you're in a bikini.
At least make my body look good. Ew, I don't even like that. Don't.
Okay. Novak tells him that it's fine as long as he doesn't lie to her. And he's like, when have I ever lied to you? He's getting all weird. She's like, you lied about having ties to Ackerman's group. And Redding says, dude, I am not tied to Raw. But she shows him pictures of Ackerman and Star Morrison and brings up the fact that Morrison is in jail on contempt for protesting his arrest. She didn't know him. Why the fuck is she there? Mm-hmm. And then Redding tells Novak that he didn't buy the rifle. Ackerman gave it to him and says he conned him into doing the shooting. This is why I thought Kyle meant savages, as in like these freaking dorky...
Like the underlings, like the foot soldier...
Yes.
Guys.
Oh. But I think you're right, though, about... Because this was... Anyways.
I think he just meant their own communities.
Because he like looked at Toots and was like right at him when he said that.
Because that is the way that they speak and the verbiage they use about non-white.
Yeah, I can't. He says that Ackerman gave the gun to him and he conned him into doing the shooting. Novak wants to know what Morrison's involvement is. And Redding says, you think I'd talk about business in front of some slash? Fucking gross. She walked in after the meeting. She's his, quote, old lady. Who knows what they talk about in bed? Dude, when people call women like slash, gash, or split, or like, that's fucking, like so gross to me.
It's fucking nasty. I mean, it's like, oh, that's right. Of course you hate women too. Duh.
Yeah. That cloven hooved skank.
I'm like, oh, that was your one redeeming quality of inclusivity. Like, no, Tasha, you're dumb.
I don't think, I think I made up a word for a vagina, a cloven hoof.
Ew. Okay.
Okay.
What the world needs now.
It's more gross words for vaginas. Okay. So now Stabler is with Star Morrison. Stabler asks her why she was at court. And she's like, well, he's a nice, clean-cut Nazi. She was just there out of curiosity and wanted to support him. Stabler wonders if Ackerman sent Morrison to the trial to keep tabs on Redding and be sure he didn't name names. And then she just said she was only there to support a fellow white man. So Stabler tells Morrison that when Redding wasn't going to see the light of day again, he flipped on them so fucking fast, and he spilled everything about the skinheads being involved in the group Raw. And she's like, sure, Jan.
Yeah.
Nice try. Did you turn the heat up in here too? Did you take the twisty thing off the bottom of my chair so it's rocky and makes me feel funny? Get out of here. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like you haven't been here with me a step of the way for 20 years.
Walking in tandem on the beach.
When there's only one set of foot Tasha's carrying, yeah. Stabler says that Redding said she was there when Ackerman gave him the gun, and Morrison said sold him the gun. They weren't friends. Okay. Stabler says that the deal between Redding and Ackerman was made because Ackerman tracked, quote, race traders, and they had heard that Mark Whitlock, a white man, had adopted a black child, Jeffrey. Morrison says that this whole thing is just a prisoner who has a score to settle with a guard. No big deal. Stabler says that they went through the reports. Brennan was never involved with any altercations with Whitlock. They had no beef whatsoever. Morrison says that Raw prides itself on self-control and discipline, and that Ackerman wouldn't ever get involved with the skinheads over something like that. Stabler says that Ackerman gave a school picture and the rifle to Redding, and Morrison tells Stabler that he's getting fucking played. He's being lied to. Stabler says, whatever, and seems unbothered as he tells her that she'll be called to be a witness for a case in a conspiracy to commit murder, and murder in the second degree. And she's like, fuck. Morrison's like, I can't testify. He offers her protection. Then she tells Stabler that there is no way in hell she will testify.
Right. Ooh, the mask slips, methinks. We're sorry. We're still supposed to believe it. I don't know why. I legit am wrapped in this just fluffy blanket.
You're using it as a prop too.
I'm using it.
And I love it.
I'm using it like it's a fancy lady robe.
You are. You're
know.
like laughing into it. You're
like,
pulling it up, and I'm noticing. I didn't say anything because I didn't want you to stop. I love it. Keep going.
We go to a courthouse security check walk and talk. Novak tells Stabler that she subpoenaed Star Morrison, and Stabler tells Novak that bitch ain't gonna show up. Well, said Novak Lee, which means confidently. I think they all have a thing that their name means, and that's confident. Okay. She says her testimony corroborates the meeting between Redding and Ackerman. If she doesn't testify, she goes back to jail on her second contempt of court charge. Like, I have to fucking subpoena her. And it's on this bitch if she doesn't show up. Like, she's got her painted into a corner if she's Star Morrison.
Yep.
Barry Moordock shows up behind them. He's Ackerman's lawyer now. Remember, he's that southern old white reoccurring lawyer who becomes a judge later, but it's really intimidating to the other lawyers, and we're not surprised that he's defending this guy.
And it was Novak's mentor, right? Or was it
Cabot's, I think.
Cabot's mentor, yeah.
Or was it Novak's?
Something.
No, I think he was Cabot's, because I think there was an episode where he intimidated Cabot too, and it was a First Amendment thing. Like, he's got a boner for the First Amendment, right?
Yeah.
So
he also has a boner for like setting precedents and getting famous, like being that guy.
I literally was just saying that to describe him, but my next line is, he's got a super rock hard boner for the First Amendment. And goes on about that being the basis of the, quote, attack on his client. So he tells Novak he finds everything Redding says morally repugnant, but will always defend the right to free speech. The reach is far, considering the DNA they have on the gun is the one that's actually talking.
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio Django drinking gif right now. At the trial, Star Morrison's on the stand, hand on the Bible, whole deal. As soon as she's told to state her name, she pleads the fifth and won't respond to anything else. Now everyone's confused. She's already been given immunity, so she doesn't need to worry about incriminating herself, which is what the Fifth Amendment is for. I'm like, what is this? A note that I put on the side. I know why she's pleading the fifth. Okay. She's dismissed, and Ackerman is delighted with her. She gives him a little wink as she leaves the stand. And another note that I put here is, oh my God, when the truth was revealed about her identity, it must have been a real moment for the people watching in 2005. Like, oh, what a twist. That's why we watch this show. It's just like a 48-minute amazing crime drama that has the twist of a blockbuster film.
Yeah. M. Night
Shyamalan who? Exactly who? M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Are you sure?
Yes. Okay. Novak asks for a recess and it's denied. She calls Redding as a witness and Murdoch asks for a sidebar. He argues with the judge about how calling Redding wouldn't be okay. He says he's just trying to protect Ackerman's rights. Redding is a co-conspirator and his testimony needs to be corroborated, which was what Star Morrison's job was. Novak and Murdoch start bickering until the judge interrupts and tells them he's allowing the goddamn testimony. It's my ruling. Ooh. Murdoch responds, well, it's a bad ruling. Excuse me? Somewhere in the courtroom, a Bravo producer grabs his walkie. I need Andy and a camera. It's an iconic reunion moment, and someone out there is listening going, yes, Tasha. Where was I? Excuse me? Murdoch's like, your personal beliefs are clouding your legal judgment. The judge lets him know that he's walking on the thin ice of contempt. Murdoch goes on about the rights in this country, even neo-Nazis have them, etc. The judge tells them to fuck off back to presenting their shit. Redding is getting on the stand, period. So Novak questions Redding. He says he met Ackerman a week after he got out. Ackerman baited Redding by shit-talking his commitment to the cause being white supremacy, and told him about his list of targets. One in particular, C.O. Whitlock's son. Ackerman gave Redding the Whitlocks' home and school addresses and gave Redding Jeffrey's school picture. Then Kyle jumps up, shouts, race traitor at Redding, and shoots him in the courtroom with a gun. So Redding's shot in the chest, knocked backwards. Kyle keeps shooting as everyone screams and his dad yells at him. Kyle shoots the judge in the chest, then grabs Novak and holds a gun to her head.
I forgot about him shooting the judge.
Everybody that has a gun pulls their guns out. Munch, with his gun on Kyle, yells at him to drop it. But a dude in a suit with a badge on shoots Munch. Stabler shoots that guy. Then Kyle shoots Stabler right in the fucking funny bone.
You know what? You see that guy, the guy before that shot Munch, when Novak was doing a walk and talk previously outside of the court.
Yeah.
This guy kind of like cuts in between them. And I remember being like, oh, that's weird. Like, why would they have that? And then it was him. And I was like, oh, there was like a little bit of foreshadowing. Like,
Right. A little Easter egg.
Yeah. And he was very blonde.
Yes.
Of course.
Well, okay, so Kyle shoots Stabler. I mean, when he clipped his elbow, I went, oh, 'cause you know, you like just barely bang that thing on the corner of a counter. Ouch.
It's like, I hate that feeling.
It fully takes him down. Like, he's to the floor. The swell is intense as Kyle walks over to Stabler. Like, he's going to kill him for sure. But then he's shot from behind. Who did that? It was family friend Star Morrison. Gasp. Off screen, we hear, drop your weapon, as she throws her hands up and yells that she's a federal agent and for them to not shoot her.
Oh my God.
Ackerman rushes over to Kyle as he lays face down, fucking dead. Stabler is what the fucking the last 5 seconds as he lays his head down on the floor. He's just like, Jesus, what is going on? I mean, processing that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That was climactic moment.
Ew. Get out of here. Stop. I do not like it.
Daddy, okay.
There's no consent in this, and I don't appreciate it.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
In the Bellevue Hospital recovery room, Star visits Munch. She tells him that she's FBI, which explains why she couldn't testify, since it would be perjury to state her undercover name and not her real name, which is Dana Lewis. I didn't realize that Munch got shot in the butt at this point. I'm like, oh my God, I love that Munch is laying there like he's next to his best friend at a sleepover and it's super late and they're whispering about crushes because he's fully just like laying on his side, like with his face propped up on his hand. She apologizes for everything she said to Munch. She hates everything that she had said to him, but it was in the name of maintaining cover of a super racist, hate-spewing white supremacist. And he's like, I get it. It sucked, but I get it. She'd been undercover for about 5 months, and then Toots comes in, and she starts all over again, apologizing to Toots because she was fucking awful to him too, but he cuts her off and shakes her hand, goes, we're good. Toots pokes fun at Munch for being shot in the butt and then gives him a fig shake that he snuck in. Such a specific little treat that he brought him, and I love it. I love that they're just like such besties. Toots tells Munch that he's glad he pulled through so he doesn't have to get another partner because
Oh.
I have to pretend like I kind of just like, I don't really care. Toots, go get a rollaway and lay on your side next to Munch and talk until you both fall asleep.
Oh, I'm going to fucking explode.
I know.
All right, in
I
Stabler's
brought
room.
2 straws for that shake, Munch.
In Stabler's room, Benson stands at Stabler's bedside. She wants to know if anyone called Kathy, but he doesn't want anyone to call Kathy because she started their divorce proceedings a few weeks ago.
Like she wouldn't care that the father of her children was fucking shot.
He's had the papers at home. He just hasn't signed them yet.
Stabler, let me tell you, that's exactly you being like, don't call Kathy is exactly why she's
This
like,
is happening.
We're getting a divorce. You're a bad communicator. In what way? You're angry all the time and you don't tell me anything.
I'm trying to protect you. Stop saying that.
Stop saying that.
Yeah.
I'm married to a fucking detective who somehow manages to get involved in every corner of the law. Getting shot, shooting people, getting
Throws
kidnapped.
his butt around every... Yeah. Stabler changed the subject and asked how Kyle and the other guy got guns in the courthouse. So the blonde guy in the suit is a member of Raw and had a fake badge and ID. He didn't have to go through metal detectors and handed off a gun to Kyle. The casualties are 2 court officers. One was okay. The other is touch and go. And fucking Judge Schuler died. Oh my fucking God. Stabler asked Benson if she talked to Ackerman. Ackerman told Benson that he's proud that his son, quote, died a hero fighting for his race. Fucking gross. Like, that child is nothing but a prop, I guess? I don't fucking understand. I'll never understand. Okay.
Yeah.
I hated the rest of this so much. I fucking cried a little bit. Okay. At the precinct, Benson is working at her desk as Dana Lewis, a.k.a. Star Morrison. Her hair is insane.
Dude, I want to know the blowout budget for this season because it's bananas.
Okay, so Lewis comes over and updates Benson on a sting operation that was very successful in recovering explosives from Raw. So they were intending to make a bomb similar to what was used in Oklahoma City, but the FBI isn't sure what the target was, who the target was, or whatever. Lewis also shows her more information that applies to the case against Ackerman that was found in the sting. Benson takes a look at it and she is fucking shook. Oh, God. Lewis and Benson go to visit the Whitlock. They're at their house. There's no pics of fucking Jeffrey in the home anywhere. Jana, the wife, is having a hard time dealing with Jeffrey's death, and their counselor recommended removing the reminders. Lewis says that she must have kept a little keepsake or something, like a toy, a school project. Mark wants to know why they want to know, and Lewis comments that it's just about how valuable Jeffrey was to them. What? Benny brings up that Mark had taken out 2 insurance policies on Jeffrey totaling over $700K, and then Jana's like, I had no idea. What? The average life insurance policy on a child is $50K. But Mark says that those policies were recommended by their insurance broker. The monthly premium was $350, which could have been a hard payment to make since the Whitlocks filed bankruptcy 2 years ago. I'm sorry, what is happening? Janice is the one that filed the insurance claims 5 days after Jeffrey died. And then Benson's like, you couldn't wait, could you? Lewis opens the file and shows him the evidence from the raid. Mark pledged a skinhead group 1/3 of the $750K. And I was like, how would they know that exact number? Oh, because I forgot the file thing. He says somebody's setting him up. Whitlock gave Ackerman Jeffrey's school picture. Oh my God. Lewis asked Janice if they adopted Jeffrey just to kill him. Janice tells her that she's like, you guys don't understand. Benson had asked some people that knew them, and they were surprised that they had adopted a black child because they're known fucking racists, okay? Janice, oh my God, this is the part. Yeah. Janice says, we're not racist, we just needed the money. Here I wrote, oh my God, I can't handle this fucking episode. Like, I know it's a TV show, but I gagged a little. Like, I don't even want to hear the chaser. Like, this child was adopted to be killed. Toyota, end of fucking episode, Toyota.
Black Friday week starts November 21st, and so are amazing deals at Amazon. You'll save so much on early holiday athletic gifts like bikes, tents, and outdoor gear. You'll have money left over for a premium yoga mat so you can try to touch your toes by New Year's. Almost there. Or that Pro Series 2-person sled with titanium alloy skis. Oh, what fun it is to save. Black Friday week starts on November 21st with new deals added every day.
Got great ideas, but no idea how to build a website? Get Bluehost. Their AI design tool creates high-quality WordPress sites super fast. Whether you're a blogger, influencer, or launching a side hustle, Bluehost helps boost your growth with built-in marketing and e-commerce tools. Upgrade to cloud and get 100% uptime and 24/7 security to stay online all the time. Why wait? You've got the vision. Make it real. Visit Bluehost.com to get started.
After investing billions to light up our network, T-Mobile is America's largest 5G network. Plus, right now, you can switch, keep your phone, and we'll pay it off up to $800. See how you can save on every plan versus Verizon and AT&T at T-Mobile.com/keep-and-switch.
Up to 4 lines via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service ported 90-plus days with device and eligible carrier and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months.
Okay, I'm going to try to stay on track. I'm going to go down a couple paths, but know that on the main path is an absolute sludge blob named Matthew F. Hale. He was born July 27th, 1971 in East Peoria, Illinois. His parents divorced when he was 9 and his mom left. I couldn't find out why. I couldn't get a ton of information on his childhood. And I was just, usually it's the dad who leaves, you know what I mean, statistically. So he and his brother were raised by their father, retired police officer Russell Hale. By the time Hale was 12, he had started a club at school. A fucking Nazi club he called the New Reich. This kid was obsessed with Nazism, reading Mein Kampf and other white supremacy-centric books. His brother was also a super racist. There's no information given about his dad's stance, but I mean, both your kids are super racist. You're not stepping in about any of it.
Right.
Hale attended Bradley University, majoring in political science, but really focusing on organizing fucking racist white people. He tried and failed to start or lead several things that we hate. At school, it was the White Student Union, his own political organization, the American White Supremacist Party, the National Socialist White Americans Party, which he was trying to branch off of David Duke's National Association for the Advancement of White People, which was started by fucking David Duke from the KKK. While he was attempting and failing to be some kind of white leader, he was regularly in trouble with the law, usually obviously surrounding racist shit, burning an Israeli flag, threatening a group of black people with a gun, different forms of contempt. He got like littering charges when he was passing out propaganda shit and whatever. In 1995, he joined an organization called the Church of the Creator. They believed in creating a quote, white world, no Jews, no non-whites, by telling the members to procreate with whites only and that a racial holy war was necessary to reach that end goal. They believed that, quote, white people are the creators of all worthwhile culture and civilization. Followers were encouraged to attack minority groups in the name of Rahuwa, racial holy war. This is referenced in the episode. All of this and more is heavily detailed in the several books written by founder Ben Klassen. So, speeding up, the leader and founder Klassen had died by suicide in 1992. Oh, we hate you. Oh, no. The group was basically paused without him. So when Hale joined in 1995, he was like, ooh, pick me for the leader. And by 96, he was voted into a 10-year term as the leader of the church. And his title was Pontifex Maximus.
Get fucking bent, you fucking cosplaying nerds. You guys are fucking dorks.
It was just a title he took from ancient Rome, but when they do it, they just sound fucking stupid. Like, all these racist organizations have the dorkiest fucking leader titles. Fucking Grand Wizard.
I know. Just watch Lord of the Rings and, like, shut up.
There are so many Renaissance fairs. There are so many LARPing festivals that you guys could get into. I'm sorry, I let them breach the perimeter, Dad.
Right. And they're like, there is no... The mermaids are white because they were in... Or whatever the fuck, like, they want to... Just isn't historically accurate. Like, kick rocks.
Yeah. I won't watch a black mermaid.
Not my mermaid. You're like, go blow up a case of fucking Budweiser or something, you fucking loser.
Ugh. Anyway, yay, he finally got what he wanted, to be a leader of an established racist hate group. He changed the name of the group to the World Church of the Creator and stepped out of the shadows to share their gross viewpoint and attract more members. And this group grew to be one of the largest neo-Nazi groups in the country under Hale's leadership. quoting him, I'm just bouncing around the timeline a little bit because some of these come from later, some of these come from like the 90s, early 2000s, whatever. But I want to highlight a few things that Hale has written in the group's propaganda, as well as stated directly to the media over the years. This is just to give you some reference as to how overt and open this guy is. He has said, quote, "Once we get the white race thinking straight, the white race will cease to subsidize the mud races, and they shall wither on the vine." They referred to anyone who was non-white as a mud race.
Like Harry Potter, the mudbloods or whatever they're called. Muggles. Never mind. Oh, they did say mudblood.
They said a mudblood thing.
Yeah.
Which, yikes.
No, muggles are just like people, right?
Are non-wizards. See how this sounds just like Harry Potter?
Sound like,
this sounds just like fucking Harry Potter.
We were just about to go off of the same. We're like, see how this is just dorky? Like,
yes.
I mean, Harry Potter's fun to watch and stuff, but I mean, like, this is the kind of shit.
Also, fuck J.K. Rowling.
Also, yeah.
Another thing he said was, quote, "It is time to fan the flames of anti-Semitism far and wide. It is time to expose the Jews as being the evil incarnate of the world." These are things he's publicly saying. Like, he's saying these to media outlets and shit. Another one, quote, "The mud races may very well offer some resistance, and that resistance will have to be destroyed." This is shit that he's just preaching. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 1995, he goes to the Southern Illinois University of Law. He did get married to a 16-year-old creator in 1997. He was 25, but she left him after 3 months. As soon as I read that, I'm like, oh my God, I hope that's just a dark spot in her distant past. And she just was like, oh my God, the shit that I got into when I was a teenager is fucking insane. He graduated from college in May of 1998, took the bar exam, and passed it. He was geared up to start practicing law. Did you know that there's something called the Illinois Bar Committee on Character and Fitness that has to approve you before you're licensed to practice law there? Mm-mm. Guess who got rejected? Yeah, Hale. In case you didn't know where I was going with this, it was Matthew F. Hale was rejected. He appealed, and on June 30th, 1999, the committee, quote, refused to certify that Hale had the requisite moral character and fitness to practice law in Illinois. I wonder if his belief system and position in a racist organization with a history of violent hate crimes had anything to do with it. Like the kind of shit that he was saying specifically around the law, and he was denied. And it's like, what? One of the things he said was, just as Adolf Hitler knew that before he could win Germany, he must win his home turf, Munich, and then Bavaria as a whole. Before we can win the world, I fervently believe that we must win our capital, Illinois.
Okay.
And then you're like shocked that they're like, your moral compass is fully just like set fire to, dude.
Yeah.
You can't practice law in our state. Okay, so he's denied a bank loan. No, he was
the Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
He was denied his law license. He was like, "Come on, guys, my followers, let's all go to the world headquarters of our organization. My dad's house in Peoria." It was literally at his dad's house. Okay, so Hale has power, influence, etc., over the members of this organization because he's the specialist boy. There's one member that I need to branch off about because this is how it all starts to connect the episode and go into the trajectory that it eventually goes into. This member's name was Benjamin Nathaniel Smith. He wanted people to call him August because he felt that his birth name sounded, quote, too Jewish. So anyway, Benjamin was born in March of 1978 and raised with his two younger brothers in Wilmette, Illinois by his doctor dad and real estate agent mom. Again, not a ton of information on his upbringing, but the earliest shit he pulled that I could find was when he assaulted a cop as a teenager. He pled guilty to 2 misdemeanor battery charges and was transferred to finish high school in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He went off to college at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. He claimed that the exposure to so many international students really brought clarity to his racist ideologies. It was there that he met fellow piece of shit Matthew F. Hale. And Matthew Hale was recruiting for the organization. So Smith joined up with the church. He's constantly wanting to lead with violence, which Hale claims to not be down with. Oh, you do? In the documentary Invisible Revolution, there's footage of Smith as he's passing out flyers and literally saying to people, quote, "If they violate our constitutional rights and say we can't put out our literature, we have no choice but to resort to acts of violence and really to plunge this country into a terrorist war they've never seen before." So that's this guy. 2 days after Hale was denied his license to practice law, Smith was angry. Okay, what else is new? But he decided to put it into action. He loaded an arsenal into his light blue Ford Taurus, which this has nothing to do with anything, but that was my first car when I was 16. An arsenal of guns and ammo he bought without a license, by the way. USA.
Oh, God.
He drove off to go on a 3-day-long shooting spree. On the evening of Friday, July 2nd, Smith committed a drive-by shooting in Northtown, Chicago, wounding 9 Orthodox Jews. I don't need to state that it was clearly intentional. There's a very traditional way of dressing in Orthodox Judaism. He then continued to Skokie, Illinois, maybe 15, 20 minutes away, where he shot and killed Ricky Birdsong in front of his home. 2 of his 3 children were present. Ricky Birdsong was the former basketball coach at Northwestern University. He was also a black man. The next day, Smith shot and killed a black minister in Decatur, Illinois. On Sunday the 4th, he crossed the border to Bloomington, Indiana, where he killed 26-year-old Won Jun Yoon. Won Jun had been attending Indiana University's graduate program in economics. He was killed as he walked to the Korean United Methodist Church. Smith had shot at 9 others, but missed them. A high-speed chase then ensued, and as Smith sped down a southern Illinois highway, he shot himself twice in the head, causing the car to crash into a metal post. But he was still alive, so he shot himself again in the heart.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Twice in the head?
Yes.
And then, oh, wow.
And then crashed and then shot himself again in the heart. He was rushed to the hospital, but he was declared dead when he got there. Janet Reno spoke at Won Jun Yoon's funeral, which was hugely attended. Sherry Ellen Birdsong, Ricky's wife, created the Ricky Birdsong Foundation. You've probably heard about one of their annual events, which is the Race Against Hate. It's a 5K that's held every June in Evanston, outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
Matthew Hale claimed to hardly know Smith, but police got those fucking luds and shit. Hale and Smith had talked on the phone for 13 hours over the 3 weeks prior to the shooting spree up until 2 days before. 2 days before, they had spoken for 28 minutes, I believe. Also, 6 months before that, Hale had awarded Smith with the Creator of the Year award, which is a top honor in their organization. So the assumption is that Hale was directing these actions.
Right.
Lawsuits were filed against the World Church of the Creator, Fedora King, Matthew Hale. I kept giving him different titles.
Fedora King. It took me a second. I was like, wait, what?
Fedora King, Matthew Hale.
Well, because their names are so fucking dorky.
It's so fucking dorky. Yeah. These lawsuits were filed against the church, Matthew Hale, Smith's parents, and the dipshit who sold guns to Smith without a license. Additionally, the FBI decided that it might be a good idea at this time to do a little fundercover. FBI informant Tony Evola joined the group as a follower of Hale. The next year in 2000, Hale's group was sued for trademark infringement. Okay, so this is all going to come full circle. So because of this fucking shooting spree, there's an informant that has infiltrated this group. And then in 2000, Hale's group was sued for trademark infringement. His organization was the World Church of the Creator, fucking white supremacists, and this other group was an Oregon group, Tatame Truth Foundation. They own the copyright for the name Church of the Creator. They're basically a Christian organization legally recognized as a church. Their symbol is a Star of David with a sun inside of it. They didn't fuck with Hale's group at all until after the spree killings, because that's some bad fucking press, you know? U.S. District Judge Joan Humphrey Lefkow presided and initially ruled in Hale's favor, but upon revisiting the case in 2002 after appeals, ruled against Hale's group. They would no longer be allowed to use the words Church of the Creator. In response to this, Hale filed a lawsuit against the judge. He gave a news conference saying that the group was at war against her. He had the unironic stance that the judge was biased against him because her husband was Jewish and their grandkids were biracial.
You fucking hypocrite.
Just mind-numbing, the fucking stupidity of it all.
And they don't see it. I can't. I gotta not.
Meanwhile, our guy on the inside, Tony Evola, was gathering info and getting closer and closer to the top Khaleesi, Lady of Dragonstone, Hale. After the Supreme Court denied Hale's appeal against the state of Illinois regarding their denial of his law license, he put a voice recording out to his group stating that they, quote, are free according to our own conscience to take whatever actions we deem necessary to resist this tyranny. This seems extreme. He essentially took the judge's ruling and spun it to his followers, telling them their holy books would be destroyed. They're going to burn their books.
Yeah.
So everybody that he's fucking preaching to is like, holy shit, this is it. You know, the fucking holy war. They're coming for us. The judge starts getting death threats. And Hale had personally told Evola, our FBI informant, that he was being extra careful and couldn't make any moves himself, Matthew Hale, because he knew he was under constant surveillance, wink, wink. So there's all this talk going on, recordings happening until January 8th, 2003. Matthew F. Hale is arrested. The FBI had collected enough evidence that they could charge him with soliciting Tony Evola to kill Judge Lefkow. The trial for this began the following year. He wanted his attorney, Todd Durkin, to insist on an all-white jury. Hale also wanted him to argue that he was being persecuted for proving, hard quotes, that Israel was responsible for 9/11. And Durkin was like, no. Like, no, none of that is a part of this. And
no.
If you want to do that, you have to represent yourself or get a different lawyer.
Yeah.
And Hale's like, okay, fine. Never mind. During the trial, in an apparent...
They didn't do an all-white jury thing, right?
No, fuck no. They were
I was
no.
gonna say, like...
Oh, the lawyer's like, I'm not arguing for that.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? During the trial, in an apparent unrelated retaliation, Judge Lefkow's mother and husband were murdered in her North Side Chicago home. Police determined it was unrelated because an admission was written on a suicide note that they had found. During a routine traffic stop in Wisconsin, Bart Ross shot himself. He wasn't affiliated with Hale or his group. He'd been a plaintiff in a medical malpractice case that the judge had dismissed. And his intention was to kill the judge, but she wasn't home at the time of the shooting. This happened during Hale's trial. So people were immediately like, he had these people killed, but they didn't find a connection. So it was, I mean, being a judge, it just made me go, God, being a fucking judge, dude.
Why can't I wear a mask like Batman or something?
I
You
know.
what I mean?
That's honestly a really good idea. Just like in medieval times when when you ask for silverware and they're like, we don't have it. No. In medieval times when the fucking head chopper off guy, what is his name? Would wear the thing.
What's a cool name too? Executioner.
Yeah, the executioner would wear a mask or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so a year after the trial began, on April 6, 2005, Hale was sentenced to 40 years in prison. His release date is set for April 29th, 2036, and he'll be 64 years old if that comes to pass. The group has since broken up into several smaller groups around the country and is now going by the Creativity Movement.
See you in 2036, you fucking puke. I hope you...
Barf. And that's the thing, too, is like when Novak was telling Redding that prison was going to be so dangerous for him and blah, 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 like... There is a really strong Aryan Nation presence in prison. So, like, you go in there and you're white, and then you go in there and you're white that's hardcore affiliated with that shit. Like, you immediately have a wall around you.
Right.
So, yeah, it's dangerous fucking regardless. It's going to be dangerous if you go in there with fucking Rahua across your fucking back, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's sitting there going, like, I know a ton of people there already. I'm a fucking neo-Nazi. Like,
it's like you realize I got out 2 weeks ago, right?
It's a very easy to find group.
Yeah.
It's an easy to discover lunch table. Yeah. But anyway, so.
All right. Well, next week we have season 7, episode 7, Name. There are some bones from 1978 that are found. Stabler's in a cast because he got shot. He's on the case because there's a cold case involving some missing Puerto Rican boys. I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen it. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure I have sometime.
Yeah. I don't know how I don't remember it based on your description.
I make, just a reminder, I make the next week's things vague because I don't want to like look too hard into them because I don't want to remember the episode.
Yeah.
Rate and review us. Email us at supod@gmail.com. If you want to send us anything, P.O. Box 176, Deforest, Wisconsin 53532. All of our social media is at SVUpod. You can find merch, stickers, bags, t-shirts, more stuff at svupod.com or tpublic.com. Our Facebook group is SVU Pod Elite Squad. It's so fucking funny. Everybody, that's like my jam.
It is.
I'm like in that shit all the time. We have a Facebook group chat called Walk and Talk. Hashtag Little Bit Loud if you're an indie pod or want to find other indie pods. Our Patreon is www.patreon.com/SVUpod. And leave us a voicemail or text us at 1-920-345-7005. Again, 1-920-345-7005. All right. Well,
Okay.
love you. Bye.
Love you, bye. Lol.
And to our I bet you if Darla's like, do the voice.
What voice?
The voice of Stitch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, love you, bye. Love you.
And to our Elite Squad patrons, Marisa M.
Stitch
Elke-
is painfully close to...
I know. I was thinking that.
The fucking hormone monster.
Hormone, yeah.
What do I do? It's basically the same guy.
It is.
What do I gotta do? Yeah.
And
how to be family.
And it's like got quotes around it. Laugh as much as you breathe. Love as long as you live.
Laugh as much as you breathe. Okay. That's psychotic. That is fucking psychotic.
I'd die. Literally. If I did that literally, I would die.
First of all, if you did that for a day, you'd be committed.
And
Okay.
to our Elite Squad patrons, Marisa M, Elke H, Tricia S, Emily T, Katarina G, Mary D, Joshua H, Lem, Eliza W, Nikki B, Melanie G, Andrew, Miranda B, Lauren T,
Katie A, Kate H, Vanessa, Lex, Shelby K, Kimberly L, Bonita R, Maren, Ursula, Catherine M, Kate P, Jessica S and D,
Jana M, Tammi J, Bear Sam D, Meg M, Alexis J, Caitlyn S, Kristina D, Camille Z,
Maggie D, Sin, Jessica P, Victoria, Scout G, Melissa M, Desiree R, Monica K,
Katie S, Brenna T, Andrea M, Tosh, Al H, Andrea H, Aunt Sarah, Katie H, Vern, Catherine, Catherine B,
Ariana, Madeline K, Kristen F, Samara B, Amanda P, Mahalia S, Jules K, Julie R, Tracy, Rachel, Kitty, Carrie M, Leilani J, Alex, Samantha S, Angie W, Ariel E, Becky A, Amelia T, Margaret S, Natalie B, and Emily D.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
really appreciate
so
it.
much.
You help us get to do what we love to do, which is get pissed off about a cop show.
Walter, you're shifting. It's like he knows when we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
Phew, he just got up and stretched.
Cutes.
Now at T-Mobile, get 4 5G phones on us and 4 lines for $25 a line per month when you switch with eligible trade-ins. All on America's largest 5G network.
Minimum of 4 lines for $25 per line per month with autopay discount using debit or bank account. $5 more per line without autopay, plus taxes and fees and $10 device connection charge. Phones via 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance on a required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off devices early. See T-Mobile.com.
FS Envision Seed Corn and FS High Soy Soybeans provide best-in-class traits and genetics that perform. In farming, bushels matter to your bottom line. Our field-proven products deliver high yields year after year. Get the seed you need from the people you trust. Contact your local FS Envision and High Soy retailer or visit fsseed.com to learn more.
This week on Living Your Light, Daryl and Edith share a lesson in numbers.
You know, 70 is the new 30.
Is it? I was never good at math.
And the gang has a heart-to-heart.
65 and still making new friends. Golly.
It's independent living at the Cesta, an Illuminous community. Check out thecesta.org or call 608-216-3326 to reserve a spot today. Illuminous. Live your light.